In today's Final Touch, we have some dolls.
But not the kind that gets stuffed into a child's Christmas stocking. We are talking about dolls that are works of art. Each detail on every shoe, dress, or hair adornment is breathtaking. Some of these dolls are the creation of celebrated German doll maker Sylvia Wesser, and they command prices up to $10,000 each. Other art doll makers are on display at the exhibition in the country of Georgia. Some of the dolls here are individually quirky, their expressions capturing a unique look. Whether they've been created to shock or to charm, their realistic look is captivating, almost a little scary.
It truly is an art, though.
It really is. All right, that's our time for now. Thanks for watching. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.
And right now at 5, one person is dead after a farming accident this morning in Rock County. Tonight, we are learning more about the victim.
And new information about a deadly crash on Highway 18 last night. Police have a man in custody accused of hitting a pedestrian while driving with a revoked license.
And a political showdown at the Capitol results in the possibly unprecedented firing of a member of the governor's cabinet.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 5.
And thanks for staying with News 3 Now. Those stories coming up in just a minute. Before that, another snowstorm is heading our way.
It will start late tonight, overnight, and then is expected to drop several inches of snow by tomorrow morning. It's not good timing. It will likely impact the morning commute. So let's get right to Gary Canalti with the latest on the First Alert forecast. Gary?
Well, Susan, winter weather advisories have been issued for much of our viewing area from Madison northward. The advisories start at midnight tonight and run through noon tomorrow for Dane County and areas to the west and north. East of Dane County, including Dodge and Jefferson counties, those advisories run from 3 a.m. until 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Total snowfall is expected to be about 3 or 4 inches north of Madison, about 1 to 2 inches south of Madison. On Doppler track right now, the snow just starting to move into southern Minnesota, so it still has a ways to go before it gets here. The bulk of our snow will be after midnight tonight into tomorrow morning. Current temperatures are falling below freezing, so it certainly will be cold enough for snow. By tomorrow morning, temperatures will be in the middle 20s. The snow should start shortly after midnight and then probably wind down around noontime tomorrow. Tomorrow's high at 36. Later on, I'll take a look at some near-record cold temperatures expected by the early part of next week.
All right, Gary and our weather team want you to stay on top of the weather with our Channel 3000 weather app. It features live radar, hour-by-hour weather and road conditions. You can download it for free in either the Apple Store or the Play Store for your Android. We'll also be keeping you up to date on weather conditions on News 3 Now this morning. Leah Linshot, Josh Sprider, and Hattie will have the latest on those road conditions, what you can expect for your morning commute again tomorrow morning. That all starts at 4:30. Next at 5, an Illinois family is mourning the loss of a loved one tonight after a farming accident this morning in Rock County.
The sheriff's office is calling it a tragic death. Rock County reporter Adam Duxter spoke with the victim's family earlier today and joins us from our bureau at the Janesville Gazette with what they're saying. Adam?
Yeah, Eric and Susan, tonight Cami DeRose says she's still processing the death of her son, Daniel, although she says she feels like his spirit is still with her.
Captain Mark Thompson says it was here on a farm near North Fox Road, close to the border of Janesville and Edgerton, that the Rock County Sheriff's Office was called to at 2 a.m. today.
That was my third shift supervisor informing me that there had been a farm accident.
First responders attempting to get to a 24-year-old man who had been accidentally run over by a tractor. The soft terrain making it difficult.
They did explain to me that it was quite a distance off the road and the fields were extremely muddy. I was told that several of the emergency vehicles were actually stuck in an attempt to get to the victim.
Thompson says the victim was attempting to get off a moving machine when he slipped and was crushed underneath its weight. By the time rescue crews made it to him, he wasn't breathing.
It all appears that this is just a simple, tragic accident where a young man lost his life.
Today, I spoke with the victim's family, who are identifying him as Daniel DeRose. His mother, Cami, says he had made the trip up from northern Illinois to help a friend. Tonight, she's sharing these photos of Daniel, who she says was a wonderful son, brother, friend, and father. She says his sense of humor made him who he was, and that he'd have something funny to say, even in this situation. Captain Thompson says tonight his heart is with the DeRose family.
These never get easy. When you're sitting across the table from a family member who just lost someone, it's always difficult.
Now, Captain Thompson says at this point the investigation is still ongoing, but he says there's no reason for him to suspect that foul play is involved. Tonight, the DeRose family says they are thankful for all the kind words they've received so far.
Very sad story. Thank you, Adam. The Department of Criminal Investigation is taking the lead on an officer-involved death last night in Two Rivers. The Wisconsin Department of Justice says officers were conducting a traffic stop during which an officer shot at a person in the vehicle. Authorities say a firearm was recovered at the scene. The person died of their injuries at the hospital. No officers were injured during the incident. Madison water utility crews are spending most of their day repairing a broken water main on the city's west side. The break was reported around 9:15 last night on Whitney Way near Gilbert Road. The public information officer for the Madison water utility says around 5 customers are without water service.
Madison police say they do their best to arrest people who should not be driving, but of course they can't stop everyone. Last night, they say that was the case with 37-year-old Shawnee Jones. Police say he was operating with a revoked license for the 4th time when he hit someone near U.S. Highway 1218 at Mill Pond Road on the city's southeast side. That person died from their injuries. Cases like these leave people wondering how these people remain on a road. Jamie Perez sought the answer to that question today. Jamie.
Well, I think people are really frustrated when it comes to cases like this. And today I asked a Madison police and an attorney if legally anything can be done to prevent something like this from happening. The answer is kind of complex. It's up to the judiciary to determine how long someone is locked up for, if at all. It's also up to lawmakers to push for stricter penalties in cases like this. But when someone is driving a car with a revoked license or gets an OWI, our laws make it so that people can be back on the streets under certain circumstances. An attorney that I spoke with today said it's difficult to physically prevent people from doing things they're not supposed to do, even if they serve time in jail.
There's some way to physically prevent somebody from getting behind the wheel of a car if they are not legally allowed to do so. And that's a complicated question. You know, we don't have probation officers or police officers following people around in the world to make sure that they don't do things that they're not supposed to do.
Gansner also said there's no data that suggests if people were put in jail for operating without a license that it would reduce how much they would continue to do it even after they got out of jail. And there are a lot of factors that go into cases like this, and I'll dive a little bit deeper into this at 6 o'clock.
Thank you, Jamie. Officials are offering a $2,500 reward for information leading to an arrest in a Columbia County homicide investigation. Investigators are asking for the public's help related to the shooting death of 35-year-old Keith Wolf. He was found dead in his home in September. He had gone into the basement to investigate a noise and was shot to death. Anyone with information is asked to call the Columbia County Sheriff's Office. A Kenosha County home teetering on the edge of collapsing into Lake Michigan is being demolished. The process began this morning in Summers. The home was owned by the same family for several decades. They say storms last spring caused erosion on the shoreline. They stopped making payments on the home after they were forced to move out, and the bank took it over. There's no word on when the demolition will be complete.
It is being called an unprecedented move at the state capitol.
One of Governor Tony Evers' cabinet picks, Brad Pfaff, is out of a job tonight after a vote in the Republican-controlled state Senate. Our Rose Schmidt is live at the Capitol to explain the controversy. Rose?
This is the first rejection of a Wisconsin governor's cabinet pick in at least 30 years, if ever. Democrats argue that Brad Pfaff is the most qualified person for this position, but Republicans say he tried to place, quote, burdensome rules on Wisconsin farmers at a time when they can't afford it.
After a few hours of debate, the state Senate voted to reject the confirmation of Brad Pfaff, effectively firing Governor Tony Evers' pick to lead the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection.
And I think as we stand here today, there's a number of members of the majority that just aren't comfortable with Brad Pfaff. And that's all it really takes for people to say, I don't support this nominee.
The vote was among party lines, with all Republicans against and all Democrats in favor of Pfaff keeping his job. In a rare move, Evers watched the debate over Pfaff's confirmation unfold from inside the Senate. He says it's a loss for Wisconsin farmers.
He gets to go home tonight and say to his kids, oh, by the way, for speaking my mind, I have now lost my job. That's what the state of Wisconsin legislature, Senate, has just told those kids at home. Get me a break.
The controversy over PAF's job stems in part from comments he made back in July, criticizing the Republican-controlled Budget Committee for not releasing money for farmer mental health assistance. Fitzgerald vowing that similar processes will be followed for future governor cabinet picks.
And we're going to do this with every other nominee that Governor Evers puts before us. And some are going to go through, and I don't know if the rest of them are going to make it.
Evers using strong language as he ponders the future of the state's ag department and his other cabinet picks.
They're the best people for the job, and to think that they're going to have to keep their mouths shut for the next, who knows, 4 years in order to get approved by this Senate, that is just absolute bull.
Evers says he doesn't know who will be the next DACAP secretary or if he will appoint PAF to the deputy secretary position.
Rose Schmidt live at the Capitol tonight. Rose, thank you.
State Senate also set to vote on bills to stiffen drunk driving penalties, but also possibly add millions of dollars in prison costs. The first bill would establish a mandatory minimum 5-year sentence for homicide by intoxicated use of a vehicle. The other would increase the minimum prison time for a 5th or 6th offense OWI from 6 months to 18 months. Now, if approved, both would go to the governor for his signature. It is the biggest expansion of nonstop flights out of Dane County Regional Airport ever. Starting in the spring, on certain days of the week, you'll be able to fly Sun Country Airlines nonstop to Boston, Seattle, Nashville, Portland, Oregon, and also Newark. That now means 24 nonstop destinations out of Madison.
A lot of times we think about this is just where we can get easily, but you also have to remember this is where other people can get to Madison. And so it's not just thinking about, oh, I can get to Boston or Seattle on a quick nonstop route. It's also about people in those communities, people in Seattle and Boston can now get a direct route to Madison. And I think that's, that's about putting Madison on the map, putting our economy on the map.
Now, for now, these flights are seasonal. For a complete look at the flight schedule, we have more information at channel3000.com.
Still ahead, some important safety upgrades. First of all, for bikers and pedestrians south of Madison in the Fitchburg area in the form of new traffic signals. One where the Capital City Trail crosses Highway MM at McCoy Road will be operational 1 year from now, and another at MM and Lacey Road that should be ready by August 1st. Still ahead tonight, we'll have an update on the snow that is heading our way later tonight.
Plus, a Mexico cartel attack leaves 9 Americans dead overnight. Tonight, we're learning about a possible connection to the Madison area.
And then tonight at 6, Madison's 4K through 5th graders are already learning to respect each other, but now they are learning consent. It has been added to their curriculum.
And a quick look at Wall Street. Some minor movement in Tuesday trading. The Dow up 30.5. The Nasdaq mostly flat, adding 1.5. And the S&P 500 closed down almost 4. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. A vicious ambush by a drug cartel in Mexico has left 9 Americans dead, including 6 children.
And tonight we are learning a Dane County man may have ties to some of the victims. In his Facebook post that has now been deleted, John LeBaron of DeForest says he lost 2 aunts and their children in that attack. The victims were part of a church group with ties to the state of Utah. Hillary Lane now with the latest.
Video posted to Facebook shows a scorched SUV that apparently contained 5 victims of a deadly ambush about 100 miles south of the U.S.-Mexico border.
This is for the record. Nita and 4 of my grandchildren are burnt and shot up.
The victims, who were all women and children, reportedly belonged to a religious community based in northern Mexico. The youngest victims were twin babies, just 7 months old. Leah Standen says her cousin was killed.
I think a lot of us are just speechless. It's horrific, and we just can't believe that this actually happened to our family. It just seems like a bad dream.
Mexican authorities are investigating whether the gunman may have mistaken the convoy for a rival drug gang. On Twitter, President Trump wrote, "If Mexico needs or requests help in cleaning out these monsters, the United States stands ready, willing, and able to get involved."
You know, I agree with the president when he says Mexico has to really knuckle down and go after some of these cartels and stop this escalating level of violence.
Some of the children survived the ambush but have gunshot wounds. Relatives say 5 children have been taken to the U.S. for treatment. Hillary Lane, CBS News.
Mexican officials say several children who fled that attack were actually lost for hours in the countryside before being found.
On Capitol Hill, House Democrats say they're moving closer to the public testimony phase of the impeachment inquiry as they released more closed-door deposition transcripts for 2 key witnesses, this time from U.S. Ambassador to the European Union, Gordon Sondland, and former envoy to Ukraine, Kurt Volker. The committees leading the inquiry say they believe the president's acting chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, may have firsthand knowledge about what happened with Ukraine, and they want him to appear this weekend.
Americans head to the polls today to vote in some state and local elections. Several key races are seen as an early test of how the impeachment inquiry is playing with voters. With just under a year until the 2020 presidential election, there are still concerns about foreign interference, similar to what happened back in 2016. Chris Krebs runs the new U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. His teams are constantly monitoring for online threats. He says the scenario that worries him the most is a cyber attack targeting election offices. His agency is also working to make sure every electronic vote is backed up with an old-fashioned paper record.
Let's get right to weather now. Gary Canalti is watching another snowstorm on the way. Gary?
Well, we've got snow on the way for late tonight into tomorrow morning, and then that'll be followed by bouts of cold air. Just 3 things I want you to know from this forecast. First, we have the accumulating snow. The bulk of that will fall from midnight tonight through about noon tomorrow and be tapering down by early tomorrow afternoon, probably ending up with about 1 to 4 inches of snow, heaviest amounts north of Madison. That's going to be followed by unseasonably cold weather for Thursday and Friday. High temperatures only in the upper 20s when the average high temperature should be in the upper 40s. So that's 20 degrees below normal. That is very significant. What could be following is even worse. Near record cold is possible for Monday and Tuesday of next week. I've got high temperatures in the lower 20s and nighttime low temperatures in the single digits. That could be close to record cold temperature levels, especially by Tuesday morning when the record low temperature for Madison is 7 degrees set back in 1991. Have an alert day in the forecast for tomorrow. That's for 1 to 4 inches of snow with the heaviest amounts north of Madison. The bulk of it, like I said, will occur during the morning, but there could still be some impacts into the early afternoon as the snow tapers, the flurries, maybe mixes with a little bit of rain. Winter weather advisories are in effect for Dane County and areas to the west and north from midnight tonight through noon tomorrow, and then to the east of Dane County, including Jefferson and Dodge counties. That advisory runs from 3 a.m. Tomorrow morning until 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Snowfall amounts of about 3 to 4 inches expected north of Madison, about 1 to 2 inches south of Madison. Again, not a major system, but at the same time, getting any kind of accumulating snow this time of year is still really early. And already some light snow starting to push into southeastern Minnesota. The bulk of the snow won't arrive until after midnight, so it's going to be a while before we start to see the snow here. But as we take a look at future track, you can see the clear skies we have giving way to cloud cover. This is by midnight, and here comes the snow crossing over the Mississippi River. By early tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m., the snow pretty much covering most of southern Wisconsin. Then as we head from morning into the afternoon hours, you can see how the snow tapers to flurries or even comes to an end west of Madison. This is at 4 4 p.m. So by that time, there could be even a little rain mixed in with temperatures in the middle 30s. Then as we clear out tomorrow night with the snow on the ground, that'll drop temperatures into the teens, and then high temperatures on Thursday will only be in the middle to the upper 20s. As we take a look at the live view from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville, there's the leading edge of the cloud cover just starting to approach from the west, whereas the WISC Skycam looking off toward the east shows mainly clear skies, and the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison showing generally clear skies as well. As we check out the almanac for today, it was another cold day. A high temperature 34, low temperature 29. We should still be at 50 degrees this time of year with a low of 33, and right now we're sitting at 31 degrees with mostly clear skies. The wind chill right now 31 degrees because there's not much of a breeze out there. So our forecast includes that winter weather advisory again for Dane County and areas to the west and north from midnight through noon tomorrow. East of Dane County, the advisory from 3 a.m. until 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Tonight, cloudy, light snow developing after midnight, about 1 to 3 inches by morning, heaviest amounts north of Madison with a low of 26. Tomorrow, additional snow during the morning, tapering to flurries or even mixing a little rain in the afternoon, high of 36. Total accumulations, 1 inch down near the Illinois state line, about 4 inches north of Madison. Again, that's kind of what we're expecting, the heavier amounts north of Madison. And then as we look at the 7 to 10 day forecast, you can see those temperatures cold Thursday and Friday, even colder early next week. That'll be followed by a brief warm up, but temperatures still staying well below normal for much of next week into the following weekend. As we take a look at first alert traffic right now, things are pretty bad on the eastbound Beltline. What we're seeing are slowdowns in both directions at Park Street. There was an accident near, looks like right around Monona Drive, but delays extend on the eastbound Beltline from around Monona Drive to west of Verona Road. Also some delays northbound on US 12 heading out of Middleton. That gives you a half-hour commute on the eastbound Beltline from University Avenue to I-3990, 19 minutes going back in the westbound direction. Heading out of Madison, 28 minutes to Janesville on I-3990, but 27 minutes right now from Sauk City, or from Middleton to Sauk City on US 12, 19 minutes from downtown to Sun Prairie on East Washington Avenue, US 151. That's your News 3 Now First Alert traffic.
Thank you, Gary.
Still ahead tonight at 5, the results of a new survey as the commute to and from work is getting longer, leading to more stress. That story just ahead. Welcome back. As anyone who has a job knows, work can be stressful.
But a new survey finds that many of us are stressed out before we even get to work. Nichelle Medina explains.
You can't avoid all the traffic in LA.
And that's why Carmen Romero Eberly's workday always starts early.
If my commute is 2 hours one way, 4 hours.
In one day.
In one day.
A new survey from professional staffing agency Robert Half shows 45% of people say their trip to the office is too long. That's up from 30% in 2017. And those longer travel times are taking a toll. 50% of workers say their commute to work is stressful. That includes Nick Peters.
Usually by the time I get to work, there's like maybe 10, 15 minutes where I just kind of have to chill out from traffic.
Los Angeles is known for heavy traffic during rush hour. In fact, 2 out of 3 people here believe their commute is too long, and they're not alone. People in Washington, D.C., New York, and Houston reported long travel times, spending about an hour or more getting to the office. Robert Half's Brandy Britton says the stress of a long commute can make workers less productive on the job.
It's worthwhile for employees to ask about a different schedule, modifying, working from home from time to time, because the market is very competitive for employees.
Carmen tries to tackle work before tackling traffic.
I try to do some reports before I get to work so that I know that the reports that are due in the morning are already out.
That way, her difficult commute won't hurt her performance in the office. Nichelle Medina, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Stay with us. We'll make you stress about the weather and after a short break.
Tonight on the CBS Evening News, new details in the attack in Mexico that left 3 women and 6 children dead. Why was this group of American citizens targeted by a drug cartel? A new study finds girls who play soccer have the same risk as football players. Why soccer stars Megan Rapinoe and Abby Wambach have pledged their brains to science. And honoring a legacy. With her husband's book almost finished, a wife lends an amazing assist. Those stories and more tonight on the CBS Evening News.
And all is quiet right now.
Yeah, it's a little while before the snow reaches us. You can see a little bit of light snow in the southeastern portion of Minnesota, but the main snow probably won't reach us until after midnight tonight. Expected snowfall about 3 to 4 inches north of Madison, about 1 inch or 2 south of Madison. There are winter weather advisories from Dane County to the north and west from midnight through noon tomorrow, and east of Dane County from 3 a.m. through 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Temperatures right now falling below freezing, so the snow should stick, and temperatures will stay cold. In fact, early next week, highs only in the low 20s, and nighttime low temperatures in the single digits. That's not a misprint.
That's just not right, Gary. That's just not right. We'll be back in 30 minutes with more updates. Stay tuned now for the CBS Evening News.